Functions in JavaScript may also be written without names. Such functions are called anonymous functions. Let's look at the numprinter example from the previous lecture. We had written another function called isOdd and passed that function itself as an argument to numprinter. Now, JavaScript allows a function to be written without giving it a name, like this. So this function basically takes an argument, which should be a number, and returns whether the number is odd. So this is exactly the same as isOdd function that we wrote earlier, but without any name. A function without a name is called anonymous function. The only problem is that if we don't give it a name or don't hold it in a variable, then we cannot call it later. So it becomes pretty useless and JavaScript doesn't allow us to create it. But if you look at the numprinter function, the parameter name is like a variable. So instead of writing a named function like the isOdd function, we can pass an anonymous function as the filter argument like this. And this can be handy if our function is not really reusable and we just want to use it this once, or we are returning a function from another function as a closure, which we will learn about pretty soon. Let's take another example. Arrays provide a for each function, and this function takes another function as an argument, such that the passed function works on each of the element of the array. So the for each function takes another function as an argument, and this function should take an element of the array and do something with it. If you want to print all the elements of an array, one way to do is to use a for loop, alright? A more functional style to do the same thing would be to use the for each function of the array. So we can write a function, let's call it print element, which takes an element of an array as an argument and prints it out on the console. Now let's create an array of numbers, then call the for each function on this array and pass the print element function as an argument to for each. And as you can see, the for each function goes over each element of the array and passes that element to this argument function, which in turn has logged the element on the console in our example. We could have done something else with the element if we wanted. Now instead of passing this named function, we can also pass an anonymous function like so. Which does exactly the same thing, it just doesn't have a name.